Explain spiritual literacy. It is hard to know how far back to go. Do I assume that a person knows nothing about who they truly are? I don't want to offend the reader, yet the evidence shown by most is that there is no longer much understanding of this topic of humans as spirit. Just like I was ignorant some 18 years ago, this is where the many of us in this modern world have remained. The many have stayed stagnant, long after I have moved forward with the work. I truly do wish to remind myself that I am only perhaps years of work ahead, rather than a measure of minutes and years only, of where you have just come to, arriving with hope in your eyes. We speak much nowadays of spirituality, as if it's something outside of ourselves, or perhaps that it's an option, a choice, of how to be. Let me state early on what I know to be true. Not from any books or teachers, but from 18 years of testing other people's notions of spirituality. I began in the New Age and ended up in the unchanged old world of the indigenous, living on a taro farm with no electricity, no hot water, sleeping on the ground mostly in a tent for 3 months to live as they lived, or as close to as we could manage. I discovered a very different, hard and yet beautiful perspective. I still remember the last time I was given the opportunity to chant a prayer into the valley, thank you, to the trees, to the waterfall and the river that flowed down into the taro patches, and into the fat pipe that I stood under daily for a head-banging cold shower. For the entire 18 years, since I broke and began to wake, I have devoted my life, my money, my work, my focus, my everything on finding out how this system of human works. This is what I told my teacher and his permanent student, as they interrogated me in the lounge room one evening. I cried from the pressure they were putting on me. I was there to find what had been held away from me. I was there to understand the system. I never knew I was a healer, so I never spoke of such things. I was a teacher, and I wanted to understand. I knew my teacher understood. I heard it in his sound when I first heard him speak of Pai. I was very well aware of the man-made world and how it works, the cause and effect of it all. I had effective mentors for that topic. What I did not understand is all that sits around us and in us all and gives us the opportunity to even be here in the first place is an I. Everything man-made, going backward layer by layer, to the idea which begins it all, in regard to physical manifestation, including our bodies etc., was to be sorted through, in my reasoning. This was my mission. Nothing and no one else could matter, until this issue was resolved for me. How could I possibly begin working in my life again, until I understood the rules and the repercussions? I felt the greatest need to discover evidence of truth, the kind that is undeniable. I wanted nothing more than to return to my origins, something I knew I would recognize when I felt it. So much so, I was prepared to step away from this world. I no longer complied with anything I had before. I faced each and every person in this life misunderstanding me, which is still apparent. I wanted to come back into the world as my absolute self. I wanted the self that had no influence from today's humanity. How I had lived my first childhood and early adulthood had left me heavy, in mind and in body. Everything I did, and I did and did and did, only kept me heavy. At the age of 35, I broke. I knew only one thing from the evidence I had provided myself. There was much I did not understand about being a human in this world. I was ready to find it out, and died trying if that was what was required. I prayed to something which I knew nothing about, which was my first proof of God, and yet I still had no idea that I was holding any proof in my hands. Nothing on this journey was linear. I was given guided ideas for years before I came to understand where they came from. I had made a promise to follow these notions given to me from the unknown place I had sent my first prayer and promise to. So I followed. I put up resistance each and every time I was told what to do. This was the struggle and the pain. Once I gave in to the instruction and did what I was told to do, everything went just fine. I managed with everything and learned far more than that I had expected. I even seemed to learn far more than what the official teachers expected me to. I was around 10 years in when I stopped putting up a fight against the instruction. The first 10 years turns out to be only just the very beginning of it. Indeed, Section 1 was over and on to the next once I'd had enough confirmation of the undeniability of my mother, God, the Creator, the unseen, the undifferentiated world's existence, all names for the unnameable unknown I had thrown my first prayer to. In having reached that milestone, other than how mind-blowing it was to have absolutely no more doubt of the existence of the undifferentiated world that feeds the physical one I seem to be in, I had a distinct understanding, a knowing, of what makes life full of suffering. I know that pain will come and go, but suffering seemed to lessen to almost nothing when I gave no pushback, no resistance to what was seeming to occur. I had learned to not have my man-made perspectives. I had learned to open fully to the Creator's no perspective. I had also practiced many more times than I can count, if I was landing in a man-made perspective, how to shift myself over to the Creator's no perspective. I can't not do it now, after so many years of commitment to habituating it. At 18 years now into my journey to figure this **T out, I think I might have worked out how to truly influence my earthly self back to the Creator's, and mine, original intended version of self. Many of the new spiritual systems are taking the old world's language of this and calling this the gift, the city. I truly understand that part one of being human is to have the physical world demonstrate a cycle of stitch up, struggle, learn, heal to earn the gift. If we make our way through that by leaving behind all the distraction of making it big in the physical realm of life, we are then allowed to take that learned gift with us and the remainder of our physical heartbeats into a life which is focused on the metaphysical world, that which feeds the physical. What I have also left behind, without knowing that I did, is my need to live by seeing results in the physically manifest world. I know now how I am in the world but not truly of it. While I held on to this notion of the physical world as the measurement of value of self, I was never going to know where the true influence is. I feel I am now fully launched into part 2 of my life as a human. This is where I am now driven, and I do mean driven, to use all of my learned skills and knowing to help others move through the stages they need to move through to find their own knowing of what is truth. I feel now, you will understand me more deeply than our modern world of buzzwords regarding spirituality. Spiritual literacy is a way for you to understand the needed skills to move your perspectives of how life as a human can work, if you wish to commit to doing the work. Many will now be saying, "Tell me what the work is," and I can. However, telling you what the work is will not help you if you have not yet made the final decision to do the work, no matter what it is. There are thousands of publications telling people what the work is, and yet the modern human has been trained to look for the most convenient, the most simple, a magic pill, an easy way, etc. The work is not physically hard. It is emotionally hard. Let me tell the bare bones of my experience. I have tracked every stage as I have worked through a childhood and young adulthood plagued with narcissistic abuse using many forms of attack including emotional neglect, overburdening and abusive criticism. When my father said to me, "So why aren't you more #D up?" I really had no answer other than that I have become cleverer than him over the years. The hardest part of the work is to admit the truth. The truth that has a capital T. It's the undeniable truth. It is the Creator's truth. You'll feel it in your gut. Actually, that feeling is a movement of energy in your solar plexus energy center or chakra, but let's go with the gut. When you ask me as your teacher, why is that hard? I'll tell you this, when you realize the man-made truth you have lived your entire adult life by, believed wholeheartedly, taught others, and shown others it's exactly how life should be. And then you realize the capital T truth and how simple and beautiful it is, and you feel it in your body as undeniable. Then you see them side by side. You would have to be completely lacking in any compassion for others to not have your heart sink quickly and heavily down into your gut and begin to cry. The pain you will feel in your body will be a combination of regret, sadness, and the word sorry. No matter how many times you say it, it will never be enough. It will never express how sorry you are. When the dominoes all fall over, it will be an emotional pain like you have not ever wanted to feel. And yet this is the reality of man's truth compared with the Creator's truth, which you have to allow yourself to feel. These two truths, seen at the same time, will shock your system, unless they are one and the same. The little t truth that drove actions you can never take back in the physical realm of life. The big T truth that was ignored because it was easier to follow a man-made idea that gave you convenience and comfort while at the same time deflecting pain and suffering onto other people. People who you love, who you are attached to and who are attached to you, in physical life. This is a sadness which comes from a deep inner knowing that spirituality is not outside of you. It is within you, around you, it is you. And it is everything else too, in it, around it, through it, it is it. It's a sadness that comes from how terrible you have been being without knowing it. Then I will continue to remind you, you were unawares. Please. No judgment. No hurting yourself further. The only way to continue on is to know you have the ability to know the Creator's truth, and commit to always coming to the Creator's perspective rather than a man-made one. Indeed, the Creator's perspective is all perspective and no perspective at all. Spiritual Literacy Ed, a community which exists on skol.com and www.JoannaRuth.Online. It is my way of helping the rest of me, that is all of us as one. Spiritual literacy is the how-to. It is the basic learning required to be aligned with the oneness, God, the undefined world, the Creator. Of course, you could work with me to do energy healing talk therapy and have large and deep healing take place. Yet, you will also still want to know how to keep your ship from sinking again. Learning the foundations takes time to practice, and it takes the individual consenting to let go of their ego's perspectives of truth and to do that. It takes investigation which will bring the person temporary emotional pain. After that process, there will be no more pain, for any of us, regarding that which we have healed and that which was channeled that way into the physical realm of life. One by one of the we, that is how it must be done. We must all individually use our free will wisely on behalf of the we, the us, the you and me. Find more information through www.JoannaRuth.Online and through the Community Spiritual Literacy Ed on www.school.com.